Good morning, students. Welcome back to physics class. As I said in the last class, today we will start lesson 2 physical quantities and measurement. Learning objective. In this lesson, you will learn to define physical quantities with its unit, to measure length of objects using a ruler and a measuring tape, to measure mass of an object using a beam balance and an electronic balance, to measure area of a regular object using a graph paper method, to convert a physical quantity from one into another related units, to measure time using a clock, a watch and a stopwatch, to relate temperature of an object with its hotness and coldness, and to measure temperature of a person using a clinical thermometer. Origin of measurements. Egyptians were the first to record measurements. The Egyptians began recording measurements around 3200 BC. Children, why do we need to study about measurement? Yes, in our day-to-day lives, we come across many things we need to measure. For example, to buy fruits, to stitch clothes, to measure height, to measure temperature. And when you do online shopping, you will see size chart. The size chart has many measurements. So, measurement plays a very important role in our life. So, we need to learn about it. What actually a measurement is? Measurement can be defined as the process of the finding exact value of an unknown quantity by comparing it with a known fixed quantity. For example, you have a rod for which the length should be measured. So here the length of the wooden rod is an unknown quantity because you have to measure it. So how you will measure? Yeah, you need a fixed quantity. So here ruler is a fixed quantity. So with the help of fixed quantity you can measure the unknown quantity. Next we are going to learn about quantities, physical quantities. So what are physical quantities? All quantities that can be measured are known as physical quantities. Can you list few examples of physical quantities? Yes, length, mass, time, temperature, volume, etc. There are two types of physical quantities, fundamental quantities and derived quantities. I repeat, there are two types of physical quantities. They are fundamental quantities and derived quantities. So, what are fundamental quantities? Those physical quantities that are unique and do not depend on any other quantity are called fundamental quantities. So, the fundamental quantities are unique and do not depend on any other quantity. There are 7 fundamental quantities. They are length, mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity, and amount of substance. I repeat, length, mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity, amount of substance. We will learn about these quantities in detail in upcoming classes. Next, derived quantities. So, what are derived quantities? Those physical quantities that are derived from fundamental quantities are known as derived quantities. So, derived quantities are quantities that are derived from fundamental quantities. Got it? Here are few examples of derived quantities. They are area, volume, speed, force, density, etc. So how come area comes under derived quantities? Because area has length and breadth. So area is derived from a fundamental quantity length. Next, volume. So volume has length, breadth and height. So volume is a derived quantity derived from a fundamental quantity length. Got it, children? Okay, now we conclude today's class with these beautiful quotes. Meet you all in the next class, children. Take care, and I'll be sending you a Google form. Kindly do it. Thank you, students.